Everybody knows English is useful for business, and probably that's a main reason why so many people learn English in school so that it will be useful for business. Maybe it's why you are learning English or practicing English to get better at business. But how? How exactly does English help you in business? I have 4 points. This is in your textbook, right? Number one, well, businesses need to do research for marketing, communicating, buying, and selling. Just about everything that a business does is in English. Also, memos, email, contracts, reports, agreements, and all of these things. If you're an international company, it will be in English, of course. Maybe not so much in Japan, but even in Japan, there are companies. I think Uniqlo is one where the official language of the business is English. There are other companies too. Rakuten, I think. I don't know. But there are other advantages too. Probably number two is the most useful function, the most useful thing is using email in English. If you deal with non-Japanese speaking customers, probably email is the simplest way of communicating. As you know, you can probably get a template and cut and paste and use it. And so you can communicate that way. More and more, I find if it's basic communication, you can use AI. You can use like Chat GPT, cut and paste, get the translation, send that off. Do you really need to speak English? Yes, still, I think it's useful. That's the very basic things that you can do. But if you can actually communicate and in spoken English, you can also do things like having senior positions where you lead a meeting in English, or you attend a meeting and everybody's speaking English. So it is useful. In fact, it's necessary if you want to get higher. There's what we call a glass ceiling. You can see the ceiling, the top, but you can't quite reach there because you hit the glass ceiling. There are a lot of reasons for why you hit the glass ceiling, but one of them could be language. If you don't speak enough English to get through the meeting, yeah, it might be hard to get a promotion. So if that's important to you, yeah, studying English. Finally, number four is information technology. Well, things like AI, as that develops and changes, often the default language, the language that everybody uses, expects you to be able to use, is English. Perhaps you know these things, but perhaps it's obvious. And to be fair, I think as AI changes and develops and gets better, you could argue that you don't need to have perfect English because AI will always help you. Yes and no. I still think you need to check things in English and you need to be able to trust your English ability to do things. But it's true. More and more things may be taken by AI. So that's maybe good news. Maybe you don't need to have perfect English, but just good enough, and you can clean it up with AI. Maybe. I don't know. We're still in the early days of that. But I still think having an English ability, the ability to just talk without having to look at a device, is great. Of course, I would say that I'm an English teacher, but I think it still is. It's something that, the opposite way. I wish my Japanese fluency was better. I could probably do more business that way, being in Japan. But if you want to reach outside of Japan, yeah, English fluency is important. I have three questions for you. I'm just looking down on my screen. Let me have a look. Okay, number one, when do you use English in a business environment? If you work in an international company, probably a lot. I want to know. Number two, is it better to communicate by email or by live media like Zoom or Microsoft? What is it? Microsoft Meet? Is it? I forget what it's called. I usually use Zoom, but yeah, is that better? Is that better than email? And number three, Do you think advances in technology will make English proficiency more or less valuable? In other words, is it more or less important to be able to speak English with how technology is changing? What do you think? I don't know. Maybe you do. Okay, good luck thinking about these questions, and I will see you again. Thank you very much. Bye bye.